you guys, and welcome to Emma Buick's book review of Taylor Jenkins Reid's Daisy Jones and the Six. Now, this review will contain spoilers, so if you haven't read the book, finish it, come back, and we'll discuss it together, okay? Okay. So starting off, we get told about 100 different times in about 100 different ways that Daisy Jones is a broken and beautiful girl. And I liked this description, but not for the amount of times I had to hear it. Anyways, her parents don't pay attention to her, so she leaves and moves in with her friend Simone. But after graduating high school, Daisy moves back in with her parents. Cut to the Dunn brothers forming a band. They add Karen to their sound, they get a manager, and they head out west. Billy Dunn, who had just started dating Camilla, breaks up with her because she doesn't want to uproot her life for a man. Snaps for that, what a girl boss move. But they miss each other terribly, so when Billy calls with news of a record deal, she heads out there and they get married. And then Chuck dies in the war, which doesn't really affect the plot in any way. Back to Daisy, she is also trying to make it in California as a singer-songwriter, but that girl is picky and entitled. When she finally chooses a manager and gets a record deal, they want her to sing songs the label came up with, not her own original stuff. And she refuses to do it, which was so annoying. Like, you are still a nobody. Who gave you the right? On the other side of things, the Dunn brothers band, now renamed the Six, is thriving. They released their first album, they're going on tour, Camilla is pregnant. Wait, Camilla's pregnant? Yep, and Billy has daddy issues, so while on tour, he loses it. He's constantly drinking, doing drugs, and hooking up with groupies as per the rock star life. But when Camilla comes out to surprise the band, she catches Billy. And she's a much better person than me because I would have dropped that. Sorry about that. But Camilla tells Billy that he has until the end of the tour to pull it together, and that when the baby is born, he's going to be loyal to her and only her. And that's pretty much exactly what he does. He goes to rehab, he works on himself, and while he misses the birth of the baby, he makes a conscious decision to be a good father from then on. And he is. Now things are pretty smooth sailing for a while here. Daisy finally agrees to sing the label's songs and drops her first album. The Six releases their second album, 7, 8, 9, and Billy writes Honeycomb, a song to Camilla about the life he promised her. But when the label brings Daisy in to collab on the song, she changes a few lines and Billy gets pissed. But their voices work so well together, and the song is so good that it starts to top the charts. So much so that they invite Daisy on their 7, 8, 9 tour as an opener. And this is when the magic happens. Well, after a bunch of shit, that is. You see, Daisy started dating her manager, Hank, a while back. But while on tour, he tries to make her do things. So she fires him, but he takes her band as he leaves. So Daisy has to open with Eddie instead. And this is when they start to think, maybe Daisy Jones should be part of the Six. After the show, they go out to a bar with Jonah, a writer for the Rolling Stones, and he plants the seed. He says the world wants to see Daisy Jones and the Six. So when the tour ends, they make it official. Teddy takes Daisy under his management and renames the band. Oh, and Graham and Karen started doing it somewhere in there. Now, before they can start the work on the first Daisy Jones and the Six album, they have to choose the songs. Well, Billy and Daisy both have songs they want on the album, and they can't agree on anything. So Teddy takes both of them to some random house, throws them in there, tells them to throw away everything they have, and start fresh writing together. And this is the magic I was talking about. Daisy and Billy start coming in with new ideas every day. Daisy also made Billy ease up on the rest of the band so they all get to let their creativity fly. One day, Daisy was supposed to come in and record, but she was so doped up that she completely forgot, and she didn't even notice when she cut her feet on glass. So Billy writes Impossible Woman, denying, of course, that the song had anything to do with Daisy. Finally, when Daisy and Billy are working on a song, Daisy tries to kiss Billy. Billy pulls away, and Daisy is extremely hurt. So she goes to the beach and writes Regret Me. Billy feels guilty, so he takes his kids to Disneyland. We all cope in different ways, you know? When Daisy comes in the next day with the song, Billy vetoes it. But the rest of the band sides with Daisy, and Regret Me is put on the album. Then it's time for the album cover photo shoot up in the mountains. Billy and Daisy are refusing to look at each other, but the photographer manages to capture only the moments that Billy is looking at Daisy. And the front of the album ends up being Daisy almost topless, chest to chest with Billy Dunn in some denim on denim. Now it's time for the band to get a break while Billy and Teddy remaster the sound. But Billy re-records other band members' parts and just changes a bunch of stuff, and it pisses everyone off. Meanwhile, Daisy flies out to Thailand for some reason. There she meets Nikki and sends for Simone to come spend time with her. Simone drops everything and ends up chasing Daisy all over the world as Daisy flies to Rome to marry Nikki. Then Nikki almost convinces Daisy not to go back and do the tour, but Simone finally catches up and talks some sense into her, thank God. When Daisy does come back, she brings Nikki with her. And everyone is surprised to find Daisy married, naturally. So while Billy and Daisy are re-recording their parts for finishing the album, Nikki comes along as well. And he has this special way of making everything super awkward and also starting fights with Billy. Then they bring back Jonah, the Rolling Stones guy, to write a piece to help hype up their new album. Daisy, in her rage, decides to tell him about Billy cheating on his wife, going to rehab, and missing the birth of his daughter. When Jonah talks to Billy, he asks for something better to print, because while he doesn't want to print that, he still needs a story. So Billy tells him how much he hates Daisy, and he absolutely bashes her to the press. The article drops and the hype around their album goes through the roof. Everyone wants to know more about the band with two lead singers that absolutely hate each other. So when the album drops, it sells like crazy, as do tour tickets. Gearing up for the tour, Daisy and Billy want everything the same, but different. If Daisy gets a suite, Billy wants his own suite. If Billy gets his own bus, Daisy wants her own bus. And they refuse to interact off stage, but their chemistry is still crazy good. Over their Christmas break, Daisy drops Nikki like he's hot. Thank God, I hated that lying bastard. And she actually starts coming back down to earth now that she's not taking all the drugs Nikki was pushing. Right after their break, they come back to do SNL together. And Daisy and Billy sing this really intimate duet without the rest of the band. And even Camilla starts to see what they have. And this is where everything starts to crumble. Karen gets pregnant and decides not to keep it, driving a wedge between her and Graham. And Pete decides to settle down with movie star Jenny once the tour is over and he's going to quit the band. They win a Grammy for the best album. Daisy and Billy finally become friends again, and Daisy decides to get clean. But then Teddy dies. They try to go back on the road after Teddy's funeral, but Daisy can't sing with Billy anymore. It's too much for her. Billy is also falling off the wagon with the drink. Eddie is literally always mad at Billy. And then there's Chicago. Camilla finally talks to Daisy about Billy. She basically convinces Daisy to quit the band for her own health and sanity and get clean. Graham is planning to quit the band because Billy doesn't listen to him anymore and doesn't care about him. Pete was already planning to leave. Eddie follows him out. And that's it. Daisy Jones and the Six is done. Then they all go on to live mediocre, boring, normal person lives. You find out Julia, Billy and Camilla's daughter, has actually been the interviewer this whole time. What? Plot twist. And then at the very end, Julia reveals a note from Camilla telling Billy to give Daisy a call. Goosebumps everywhere. Oh, this book was so good, and I can't wait to see what they do with the TV show. But what did you all think? Let me know in the comments down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to stay up to date on all my upcoming videos. And you might have noticed in this video my lovely Daisy Jones and the Six shirt. Check out the back. It's got all their instruments down the spine. And if you like it, you can head over to my Etsy shop at Bioka Box and get yourself one. Link in the description down below. It will be in a Daisy Jones and the Six box with a ticket bookmark and record coasters. But that's all the time I've got for this week. Thanks for watching. Bye!